Hello everyone, it's Shauna. If you're new here, welcome. If you are a loyal subscriber, thank you for tuning back in. As you can tell from the title of this video, this is a very different video than what I normally do. I usually only do bookish content, but a lot has been happening lately and I really wanted to update you guys on why I've been on such a hiatus when I had just finished saying one of my goals this year was to post more consistently and post more videos. But a lot has been happening and so I'm going easy on myself. It's fine. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys an update. I wanted to make this video not just for my subscribers, but just also for anybody who is doing research on this or has recently been diagnosed. I want people to know that they're not alone. One of the first things I did when I discovered I have this disease is I went to YouTube. I mean, I did, some basic research online of, symptoms and things to be on the lookout for, but right after that I went to YouTube because I was like, people have had to have made videos on this, like with their own experience. I know everybody is different and everybody's body reacts differently and has different doctors, so has different treatments, that are specific for them. But I didn't find too many videos out there with people talking about this and talking about living with it. And even if there were a lot, I'd still want to add my voice out there. For the people who follow me already, you can come along with me on this. I know I'm rambling, I'm sorry. It actually took me quite a while to sit down and film this. I consider not filming this and just kind of letting it be. And, I think YouTube is an outlet for anybody, whether you're a creative or you just, if you use it as a form of therapy. I mean, that's kind of how I feel like it is for me, myself sometimes, that I'm able to get my thoughts out there, even if it's, it has nothing, it's just books, but they're important to me and I know that they're important to a lot of people. And this has become kind of like a therapy session for myself, talking to a camera. But I know that it's helped me and I know that it helps a lot of people. And I know that I love watching other people's videos on random things sometimes too. Like the daily life vlogs of people or a weekly vlog of someone's life. I love those. I love being able to join people in their lives for a short period of time because, everybody's going through something different. So rambling aside, I'm gonna get started in telling you, exactly what I've been diagnosed with, what that means, and where I'm at with everything right now. And I hope to film more videos about this in the future whenever, more things start to happen and just kind of tell you what's been going on in my life. So I will jump right in. So rambling aside, if you couldn't tell from the title of this video, I have recently been diagnosed with Graves disease and hyperthyroidism. So I'll go into what that is and what that means and the different types of treatment that are out there. I'll just kind of tell you how I came to be diagnosed with this and how we found it. And, I'll take you chronologically through everything of what I've been going through. So as you guys know, I was living in LA for a year with Tony. We both were. He was living there longer. I joined him later on. And I went to the gynecologist and they found an ovarian cyst. I promise all of this is related. They found an ovarian cyst. It was very small. It was benign. It wasn't cancerous or anything. It was just, a cyst is basically just a little ball of fluid. I know that's gross, but it's what it is, sitting on my left ovary. So it wasn't very big. They measured it, I think, at 3 centimeters when they first found it. So it was not very big at all. Many women, many women get cysts. And most of the time you either don't even realize that you have it or your body just kind of ends up absorbing it and it goes away on its own. So that's what they were hoping would happen with this. Unfortunately, it did not. We kept monitoring it. It got bigger. It started to become more painful, and I was experiencing symptoms from that. Fast forward, I lost my job. So I lost my healthcare and moved back to Florida. Tony and I both did. And I didn't see anybody for a while. So that was kind of the pushing factor for me to really get this checked out and get health insurance back, because it was causing me pain every day. I finally got health insurance. On top of all of that, I also have been suffering from migraines since high school. So that was, oh gosh, I can't do math. It's been almost 10 years now. Yeah, 10 years since I was first experiencing migraines. They didn't start off as migraines. They started off pretty small. I can talk about that in a whole other video. The migraine story is a whole other thing. But basically, I wanted to get health insurance to get this cyst taken care of, figure out what we needed to do with that, on top of wanting to finally figure out what is going on with these migraines. I had had scans done before, and they didn't find anything. I don't have any tumors or anything like that. I don't have anything in my brain going on to be concerned about. But unfortunately, I did see a neurologist once, a couple of times. I saw the same person, and he basically was just like, we don't know why people get migraines. Just stay away from these foods. So I had a little bit of a bias against neurologists coming into this process, because I was afraid they'd say the same thing, and a lot of people do suffer from migraines for no reason. It just is the way that it is, and it sucks. But I felt like there was some underlying thing with me. Nobody else in my family experiences migraines, really, that I know of, and I just really wanted to be proactive, with the cyst and everything. I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm completely all together. Like, I'm good. I just want to make sure I'm good. So I saw a primary doctor in October of last year, and she suggested, let's just do some basic blood work and also do a basic blood work scan of, what you could possibly be allergic to, because you could be allergic to something, whether it be in the environment or you're ingesting it with food and drink that you are allergic to, and it's triggering these migraines. So we did that. We did the initial blood work, all of that. Found out I had inflammation in my body somewhere, and I also tested positive. I think it's on the Anna Titter scale is what they call it, but it's basically saying that you might possibly have an autoimmune disease. So she said that she wasn't really concerned about the inflammation. Inflammation could mean a number of things. It could just be an infection you have in your body or something going on, but it can go away. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But the fact that I tested positive for this on this test that says, you could potentially have an autoimmune disease, she really wanted me to get that checked out with both of them. Because if you have inflammation somewhere in your body, plus you test positive for that, you might have an autoimmune disease. So she referred me to a number of different people. So I was seeing many doctors at the end of last year and beginning of this year. So I went to see a rheumatologist, is who she referred me to originally for the autoimmune disease issue. And I also was referred to see an allergist for the migraines and trying to figure out what I'm allergic to. Real side thing real quick, found out I am allergic to a number of things. I had no idea, and I'm currently getting injections for that, just like the allergy injections. You do it once a week for a period of time, and then you start to kind of come down from it. But it's basically trying to build up your immunity to all these things that you're allergic to. And wonderful news on that front, so far I've been doing it for like 5 weeks by this point of this video, or 5 weeks by the time I'm filming this video. So it'll probably be like 6, maybe 7 weeks before I actually post it. That I've actually been having these injections, and I'm happy to say that the migraines have finally subsided some. So great news for that. And then another side note on all of that too, I was seeing my gynecologist on top of all of these other doctors to try to figure out this cyst thing. We found out, we measured the cyst. I had the sonograms and ultrasounds done, measured it. It got a little bit bigger and wanted to go in and remove it. I had surgery done in December, right before Christmas. Yay. Luckily, the surgery was super easy, super fast, and I was in and out. It was an outpatient procedure, super easy. I didn't even have to stay at the hospital for very long. And then it was maybe like 2 days later, I was like really up and walking pretty good on my own. Still sore. It took a while to kind of heal from that and like the incisions part of it, but everything else was perfectly fine. So all of that is good. The cyst is gone. Yay. It shouldn't come back. So that was a side note on all of those things, just so that you're aware and you have an update on all of that. So back to seeing the rheumatologist. This was kind of happening simultaneously. So there was a lot going on in my life at the end of last year and beginning of this year. I'm seeing the rheumatologist, and he looked at my test results and he was like, this is just a basic scan. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have anything. I'm going to run some more tests, because a lot of times what he sees is that people can test false positive, I guess. That's how he explained it to me. So he said, let's do more blood work. Let's do more in-depth blood work and see and make sure that you don't have anything else going on. Because an autoimmune disease, if you are not aware, it's a disease that it basically takes your immune system, and your immune system fights other things in your body. So this could be a number of things. It could be diabetes, that is an autoimmune disease. Arthritis is an autoimmune, lupus, all of these kinds of different things. And it can affect you in different ways. So it really depends on what type of autoimmune disease that you have. So this could have been any number of things. So of course my mind goes a mile a minute, and I'm like, well, what could I possibly have? Why would I be testing positive on this? And the rheumatologist was very, very nice and just explained, listen, sometimes this does happen, but let's run some more tests just to be safe. Ran some more tests, got more blood work done, saw him again, and turned out I have scleroderma, which is a form of arthritis, essentially, that affects your hands mostly, and your fingers. So it basically means like you can, if you're in the cold, your fingers can like swell up and also turn white if like they're exposed to extreme cold or anything like that. Like they turn white and like bloodless looking almost. They can swell up, they can be painful, all that kind of stuff. Everything he said within that appointment I had with him, when he said I have this, I was like, I have not experienced any of that. So what? What are you telling me? But basically he just said, scleroderma especially is something that may take years to develop, or it may never develop. So I'm living with this autoimmune disease that may never affect me. So I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. That's fine. I can handle that. But there were a couple of other things he was concerned about, and he said, listen, we tested your thyroid with all of this too, and there's something off with that. I am gonna make you see, I want you to see an endocrinologist. So I'm like, okay, well, I thought I was good. Like, you were the one who told me I probably just tested false positive on this scale. Like, what? Now you're telling me not only do I have an autoimmune disease, but I may have something going on with my thyroid? What? So during all of this, I had been feeling very, very, very lethargic all the time. To the point where Tony started cracking jokes, oh, it's 3 o'clock, it's time for your afternoon nap. Because right around 2 or 3 o'clock every afternoon, I would become so tired to the point where I couldn't keep my eyes open. I chalked it up for the longest time to, we've been in quarantine, and when we were in LA, I was working 2 jobs, and one of them I had to get up extremely early for. I think my shifts usually would sometimes start at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And then I would work until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with that job, and then rush over to my other job and work till sometimes 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I would come home exhausted every single day. And when COVID happened and I lost the main job that I had to get up early for, I also kind of took a step back from the other job because I was like, I need a little bit of a break. So we were home, and I was home for the first time in a long time to just kind of chill and relax. So I let myself relax because I'd been working very hard and for a very long time. So, you know, for the longest time I was like, oh, well, it's just, you know, we're sitting on the couch all day and I'm just, you know, I just get tired. But Tony wasn't napping, and granted, he's not a napper at all, really. He hardly ever will nap. But I was like, I thought about it, you know, over the last several months and stuff, especially when we moved back to Florida and it continued. I was like, this doesn't seem right. And, you know, I mentioned it to a couple of people, of course, Tony, because he was the one who was always like, you know, it's 3 o'clock, it's time for your nap. You know, all in good fun and stuff, him not even thinking there's anything wrong, just him noticing this is what I do lately. And, you know, I would sleep sometimes in the afternoon for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours for these naps. And then I would go to bed at a still somewhat reasonable time, at least for us, you know, like 10:30, 11 o'clock, or sometimes midnight, and then sleep for another 8 or 9 hours. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So when all of this started happening and I was, you know, being referred to this doctor and that doctor and this doctor, it occurred to me that this wasn't normal. And I brought it up to Tony because it started to get to the point where, you know, I knew I would start to get tired in the afternoon, especially. So I would force myself to stay up, whether it was drinking caffeine or like just getting up and moving, getting off of the couch, because I thought that was the problem. I thought it was, you know, I'm sitting on the couch most of the day, you know, even if I'm doing work on my laptop or reading, I'm sitting on the couch. Like, that's my issue. I need to get up, I need to move, you know, if I start feeling tired, just get up. So it started to be where Tony and I would be out in the afternoons and I would fall asleep in the car. And I'm like, this isn't normal. This isn't right. This doesn't, I don't feel right. This doesn't feel well. And especially in the last year or so, I've really started feeling, and now I don't know specifically if this is a direct symptom of Graves disease and hyperthyroidism, but I started feeling extremely, extremely nauseous a lot of the time. But it would come and go. But, you know, I chalked it up that too to like, oh, well, you know, we're in the car, so I'm feeling very motion sickness. I had extreme motion sickness as a kid, you know, just I would always throw up if we were on like an airplane, in the car, on a train, on a boat, anything, I would get sick. So, you know, I was just like, it's probably just I'm motion sick, you know, like we're sitting in the car and I'm just getting sick. But now it started happening more and more frequently, and it just, something didn't feel right. And my periods changed. That is just what happens with girls and Graves disease and hyperthyroidism. Your hormones are all out of whack. And also with the surgery for the ovarian cyst, the gynecologist found endometriosis. So it was only a small little bit, but she removed it, what she had seen, but that affects a lot of your hormonal things as well. It's basically just with endometriosis, it's the endometrial lining within your, I think it's in your uterus. It flakes off and goes to other parts of your body. So it can like develop anywhere. And it looks like little black specks, and they call it like gunpowder blast because it's what it looks like. And she even showed me the pictures from my surgery of my cyst. First of all, it was like this freaking big, it was big. And there was like little black specks all over it. And I was like, what? And she's like, that's endometriosis. You have it. I got all that I saw in there, but that doesn't mean there isn't any more throughout the rest of your body. Just be aware of it. And if you start to experience symptoms, you know, let us know. I'm like, okay. So dealing with all of that too. So there were a lot of things going on, and I was saying, you know, like, oh, it's because of this. It's because of that. And what I'm learning a lot from not just autoimmune diseases, but anything that's hormonal as well, anything to do with your hormones, a lot of the symptoms of different diseases look the same. So, but you know, it got to a point, I think it was end of December coming into January, when I just turned to Tony and I said, something's wrong with me. There's something wrong. And him, of course, being the great supportive boyfriend that he is, was just like, no, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure you're okay. We're gonna get this figured out. Don't stress, don't worry about it. But I'm like, no, Tony, there's something wrong. I can tell. And I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel quite right. And I didn't find this out until later, but another symptom I was experiencing was heart palpitations. So I would be laying down to go to bed at night and my heart would just be beating out of my chest. And that's the only time it really happened for me. It was a lot like butterflies, like just kind of, it just kept moving and it would keep me awake. And throughout this past year or so, I have been saying, like, my sleep has been way off. Like, I'm sleeping a lot, but I don't feel rested. And I had the surgery too. I even said afterwards, I was like, you know, that is the best damn sleep I've gotten in I don't know how long, because they put you under for it, obviously. But anyway, so those were a lot of the things that I was experiencing, and I was chalking it up to different things, you know, just, oh, it's because of that, it's because of this. Until finally I was fed up and I was like, no, I think they're onto something. I think they're gonna find something. Because I saw the endocrinologist after the rheumatologist told me I needed to see her for my thyroid. So I went and saw her. Fabulous, fabulous woman. And I'm so, so lucky to have incredible doctors. Every single person that I have met is extremely nice and helpful and comforting, and I can't believe the luck I've had so far with all of this. So I see the endocrinologist and we talk about different things. She's asking me a lot of questions, you know, do I feel tired? Do I notice hair thinning? Do I have heart palpitations? Other symptoms too, just anything. So she asked a lot of these probing questions, and there were a couple of things I remember being like, oh, yeah, actually I have, like the heart palpitations. I had no idea, I just didn't even think about it. Her symptom is hand tremors and muscle weakness with Graves disease, and that is something that I have been experiencing. Not for very long, but I have experienced slight hand tremors here and there. The muscle weakness in my legs, I've had shaky legs. It's not been good either, but these are just some of the things and some of the symptoms that I personally have developed myself. Again, I haven't really experienced weight loss or anything like that, or hair thinning. I haven't really seen any of that. Yeah, so those are just some of the symptoms that can occur and ones that I have also been experiencing. So we talked about a lot of that. She listened to my heartbeat and she was like, yeah, it's going pretty fast. She's like, but I threw a lot of information at you, so you're probably nervous. And I'm like, I mean, I don't really feel that nervous, but maybe, yeah, sure. So she ran some more tests, did some more blood work, and I think it was almost a month ago now, like to me filming this, that she said, you have hyperthyroidism, which means I have an overactive thyroid, and it looks like you have a lot of things that tell me that you have Graves disease. So I honestly, when she told me, I felt relieved. I know I probably shouldn't have, but I had been saying for so long that something was wrong. And I mean, not an extremely long amount of time, but I had been saying, you know, things kept getting worse and worse, and I just didn't feel right. I felt off. And so having her say, you know, here's a name for what you've been feeling and what you've been experiencing made me feel, I think, 100 times better. that was my initial reaction, was just, I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt validated. I felt like, okay, now we know what it is. Now we can actually do something about it. So that was my initial diagnosis. I now being prescribed a medication for it, which is a very common medication for thyroid disorders. So basically what Graves disease is, I should tell you that, is it's another autoimmune disease, and it is something that tells your body to attack your thyroid because it thinks it's wrong, it thinks it's off, it's not supposed to be there. That's what your immune system does. It's built to fight off those germs and fight off anything in your body that is not supposed to be there. But sometimes your immune system can trick itself to thinking there's something that shouldn't be in your body when it is supposed to be there. So that's what Graves disease essentially is, and it specifically attacks your thyroid. So everyone who has Graves disease will have hyperthyroidism. I mean, treatments and all of that kind of stuff aside. So, but not everybody who has hyperthyroidism and an overactive thyroid has Graves disease. So it's just kind of like Graves disease can come out in a number of ways. Obviously, it affects your thyroid, so you have hyperthyroidism, so you have an overactive thyroid. So a lot of the symptoms for hyperthyroidism is fatigue, anxiety, which I was feeling a lot of. I forgot to mention that. Hair loss, heart palpitations. It does affect your heart. Loss of weight, which I did not experience, but it's fine. And a number of different things. With Graves disease, obviously a lot of it is very similar because it's affecting your thyroid, so you're gonna have those symptoms. But Graves disease can also affect your eyes, and it can affect your skin. Specifically, people can develop rashes on their shins and the tops of their feet, which is not very common, but it does happen. More commonly, you'll see people that suffer from Graves disease will have bulging eyes. So their eyes will start to protrude a little bit more from their face. And you notice that too because they look like, a little wide-eyed a lot of the time. But that's just for them, holding up their eyes. I say them because I haven't experienced the bulging eyes or anything. I potentially could, I don't know. It really all depends on how my body does with the treatments and everything. But Wendy Williams, if you're familiar with her, she actually has Graves disease. I found that out through this whole process in my research, which is why, a lot of people make fun of her buggy eyes, but she has Graves disease, and that's what it does. There's not really a whole lot that you can do to fix that, unfortunately, but that's basically what Graves disease is and hyperthyroidism. So there are different things that you can do. If you're diagnosed with Graves disease, if you have Graves disease, you will have it for the rest of your life. It's not something that can be cured. It's not something that you can catch either. So it's not like, I can just pass it off to somebody and they catch it. Hereditary, yes, potentially my kids could develop this. As far as just catching it, you can't just catch it. So as far as developing Graves disease, like I said, it's hereditary. So it could have come from anyone in my family. No one I know even has an autoimmune disease in my family, so we don't know where the heck this came from. I've heard different stories from people on YouTube and also my research just finding out you can develop it. One girl was saying her doctor told her that you could have caught a cold a year or two ago and it just shifted your body and your body then started attacking your thyroid. There is no known reason as to why or how people develop either Graves disease or thyroid issues besides hereditary. So it could have been that. You also have a higher chance of getting Graves disease if you have another autoimmune disease. So I've found that a lot of times people who do suffer from Graves also have another autoimmune disorder. So yeah, they come in pairs. So got that. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been very, very worse. But I have scleroderma and Graves disease on top of the hypothyroidism. So what that means from here on out, like I said, I'm on medication for it. That is a very common thing for people with Graves and hyperthyroidism, to go to or anti-thyroid medication. So that is what I'm on right now. I'm on a very, very low dosage. My doctor didn't explain why, but at the time, I didn't even think to ask a lot of these questions. I did a lot of my research after the appointment. So yeah, I'm on that treatment for now, and we will see how it goes. Overall, I am fluctuating as far as how my symptoms are. So, it feels, especially this week in particular, I am having like a great day one day, and then the next day I can't get out of bed and just am so tired and fatigued and just feel like crap. And then the next day, switch it over, I'm having a great day again. So it really all just, it depends on the body and the person and how each individual kind of handles all of this. But for me, I'm finding it's fluctuating for me right now, but it's still very, very early on in the process. Like I said, I've only recently been diagnosed. So I've only been on this medication for about a month now. And we have to continue doing blood work and figuring out, where my levels are at. A lot of people who go into these types of treatments then quickly shift into hypothyroidism, which is an underactive thyroid. So though you have to kind of like find the balance with it. And that just takes trial and error because everybody is different and everybody reacts differently to these things. So right now, yeah, I'm on the medication. I have to take every day to basically try to stop my thyroid from producing so many hormones. And so Graves disease then, so as it being an autoimmune disease, it's your immune system is attacking your thyroid, and your thyroid, in defense of itself, begins producing way more hormones than it needs to. It starts pushing them out. And that is why people feel so fatigued with hyperthyroidism, is because your body is working so hard. Even if you're just sitting down normally and just resting or relaxing, your body is going into overdrive because it's pushing out all of these hormones and working more than it needs to. And that also affects your heart, and that's why you get heart palpitations with that as well. That's why a lot of people feel fatigued too. So the other options for treatment are radioactive iodine treatment, which I am trying to avoid because Tony and I are really wanting to try to have a family in the next couple of years. And not that it would affect it then. Having a conversation with my doctor and what works best for me is that, because of the things she told me about radioactive iodine treatments, is I should not get pregnant while I'm using this treatment. And once you stop the treatment, you shouldn't have a baby within a year after coming off of that treatment. So that's not something I really want to risk right now. We don't know what our plans are currently, but I would rather wait if we need to do that type of treatment until after we're done having our family. So that was just something that worked best for me, was going on to this medication. And I think, as far as I'm aware, this is the first step for most patients anyway. What doctors will recommend doing this medication that I'm on currently first, and then seeing how you react, seeing where your levels are at. You have to consistently get blood work done and see your endocrinologist. It's a lovely time. After that, seeing what happens. Hoping for any patient with this disease and this is that they're hoping that your thyroid goes into remission. So what I've found from my research and from watching other people's videos on this is that it's typically, they don't want you on this type of medication for a long period of time. I think the ballpark area is 2 years at most, at least consecutively, because it can affect your liver and your kidneys. So they don't, it's a first step to basically, it's just trying to stop, thyroid, calm down, chill, stop producing so many hormones, and hopefully push it into remission. That is the goal. So every single person is different. I know I keep saying that, but with this specifically, everybody is so different that most doctors just don't have answers whenever you ask specific questions. How long am I going to be on this medication for? how often do I have to get blood work? How often do I have to see you? And it's really all just so dependent on the person because everybody is so different. So we're hoping this medication puts my thyroid into remission, but me still suffering from Graves disease is still not a good thing because it could constantly attack my thyroid. It's just an unfortunate thing and an unfortunate circumstance that I'm in. The other option, which is the most aggressive option and really one we're trying to avoid, is surgery to either partially remove the thyroid or fully remove it. And if you're not aware, because I was not aware before having seen an endocrinologist, where your thyroid is, it is right here in your neck. It's a little butterfly-shaped organ that is like, I think it's like right here. I don't know. I can't even tell you, but it's in this area. It's in this area. So a lot of people you see with like goiters is what they call it too with hyperthyroidism, is you develop these things and it pushes out, it swells. So yeah, that's where it is. That's what it looks like. You can, I'll put a little picture here, but it's just a little butterfly thing. And I am so pissed at it because it's this little tiny thing and it affects everything. It affects all of, like your hormones, your metabolism, you know, it can affect your, people with hyperthyroidism can develop anxiety and have anxious thoughts and be very irritable, which I have definitely experienced. People with hypothyroidism constantly experience depression. So this little tiny thing does so much for your body, and I had no idea even where it was. So now you know, now you're aware. So the surgery they could remove part of it, they could remove the whole thing. We just don't know. It really depends on the person again. That's what we're trying to avoid. That's the most aggressive option. That's the one we're trying to avoid, because if you do have it removed, or even if you have it partially removed, you have to be on medication for the rest of your life, because your body's now no longer producing the hormones that you do need. So you are hypothyroidism when it's gone. So you then have to take a medication to replace that hormone that your body is no longer producing, which I don't want to do either. So basically it's a screw you kind of situation, but that's just where I'm at. That's what life has dealt me, and that's just what we have to work with and what we have to deal with every day now. Next steps, I just today actually got an ultrasound done of my neck. You know, what you see they do for the babies, like on the mommy's tummy, and the gel and the little thing where they scan. She did that on my neck. So that was fun. Lots of gel on my neck and running a little scanner all over it, because they want to make sure that there's no lumps or bumps or anything in there. And they want to measure the size of it as well, because as I mentioned before, it can swell and you can develop lumps or little things that kind of grow on top of it. Oftentimes they don't find anything, and even if they do, more often than not with those, they're not cancerous or anything. So they just want to go in and make sure that there is nothing going on with that. So we'll see what it looks like. I'll get those results in the next couple of days, probably before I post this video. But as far as all of that goes, I have to continue the medication, and I am getting more blood work done soon, and we'll be seeing my doctor again in the next like 2-ish months, unless, you know, something comes back with my blood work or the ultrasound saying, nope, I need to see you sooner. Hopefully that's not the case, but we just have to take it one step at a time. So that's pretty much all of that. I told you how I initially reacted to this news, and still relieved. I mean, as far as like having, again, a name for this and knowing that it's treatable, it's definitely, you know, something that we can handle. It's not, it definitely could be a lot worse, and we're living every day with it, taking it a step at a time and trying to figure it out. As far as I'm feeling now, I'm nervous, but at the same time, like I said, I know that this is treatable, and this is also a very, very common disease, and it's a very common issue with thyroids if you know, and there's a lot of people who develop thyroid issues. So I know that I'm definitely not alone. If you're watching this and you have been diagnosed with Graves disease or hyperthyroidism, or both, or you believe that you have it and you're waiting on results, or you're going to get results or get tested for these things, you need to know that you're not alone in this either. Even if you don't watch any other videos with the other girls, which I suggest you do, I suggest doing your research and learning about other people's experiences with this. It definitely helped me out a lot with, I think, absorbing the information, because as I mentioned, I was relieved when she gave me the diagnosis just because I had a name to it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not excited or happy the fact that I have this disease I have to live with for the rest of my life, but it was a relief knowing what it was. Because I think for me, the scariest thing is not knowing. That kind of applies across the board. I mean, just when you don't know what's happening, your mind automatically jumps to the worst possible thing. Could just be me, but that's what I do. So knowing that this is what it is, it's treatable, and this is what we're gonna do. And millions of people live with this every day and live healthy, happy lives, you know, that makes me feel better knowing that information. So like I said, I just wanted to make this video not only to update you guys, but to let other people know out there that they are not alone. And this was also a little therapeutic for me, being able to just kind of say a lot of this stuff out loud, because, you know, I've had conversations with Tony and Natasha and my mom and a lot of people of just, you know, a lot of people who are close to me, and just being able to vent and talk about it with them has been extremely helpful. And knowing, you know, that this is just life now, but it's gonna be okay. But I think having the ultrasound done today made it more real, because when I went in, you know, and again, everybody in these hospitals and imaging centers and, you know, getting blood work done, like every doctor I've seen has been so nice and so helpful and so knowledgeable, thankfully. You know, the first thing this nurse said to me, who was doing my ultrasound, was, "How long have you been diagnosed with Graves disease?" And I think it was at that moment where I was like, oh, this is real. This isn't something I've just been talking about for a month now. This is people in the health profession are asking me these questions now. She asked me if anyone else in my family suffered from any thyroid issues or autoimmune diseases, and I said no. Very, very nice lady, very nice woman. I laid down and she put the jelly on my neck and started scanning. Of course, I'm trying to look. At the same time, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, but I'm trying to look and see what she sees. But again, like I said, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, so I have no idea. Just noticed, you know, different things. And of course, my mind, I'm so paranoid. I'm like, she's spending a lot of time on this side. Does she see something? Is she worried about something? And then, like, you know, she's not spending as much time on this side, so there's got to be nothing there, but there's got to be something on the other side. Like, what is she, like, how is she taking these pictures? Like, why is her, like, all of these thoughts were running through my head at full speed. And I'm looking at the thing as she's doing it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm just like, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know anything. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to keep a brave face with all of this too, because like I said, I know that this could be a lot worse. But I'm trying to take my own advice that I tell people, is that your pain and your experience is your own. Everybody is justified to their feelings. Everybody is justified in having what they feel like is a crisis or something that they are upset about. Obviously, a lot of us have more privilege than others, and it, as I mentioned, it's not like this is, you know, this isn't a life-threatening, I mean, it can be, but it's not, this isn't, you know, this isn't the end of the world, and this isn't something that is extremely detrimental to me right now, and it's something that is easily treatable and something that everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people deal with on a daily basis and live with and are fine. But knowing that there's something in your body that is not right, that's not working right, it's scary. But I'm glad that I get to have this platform to talk about these things and to show other people you're not alone. If I've helped one person who is dealing with this or who has a loved one dealing with this, then I will feel like this video was really, really worth it. But I also feel like it was something I needed for myself, to talk to the camera, to go step by step through my story and explain everything that's been happening, everything that is still happening, and just get it out. We just take it one day at a time. Whether you're dealing with something personal that you don't want to share, or whatever it is that you're going through, no matter how trivial you may think it is, you are not alone. There's always someone to talk to. I would love it if you guys messaged me at all. I'm over on Instagram a lot. Just send me a message of, just want you guys, I want you to know that you're not alone. And even if I'm the only person who says that, and the only person you feel comfortable reaching out to, then please, please, please send me a message, reach out. I would love to hear from you guys. And just let me know how you guys are doing down in the comments below. And your problems are not trivial. Your struggle is your struggle, no matter what you're going through, and you are entitled to that. So I would love to know how you guys are doing mentally and physically. Thanks for watching, guys. I know that this was a difficult video, but I appreciate you sticking around my channel and for watching all of my bookish content. I'm going to continue to do that because that is what brings me joy. But I'm also going to be updating on all of these things too. You're not alone. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I really do appreciate you being around my channel. That's all I've got. I will see you guys in another video very soon.